Okay. Christina, bear with us.
No worries, thank you.
Christina?
Yes, I can hear you.
Christina?
Yes.
Okay. I think we're ready to go.
Okay, I'm ready when you are. You can call the meeting to order.
Thank you, Christina. Everyone, thanks for being so patient. We are in the school building and we're just trying to sort out our feedback issue we were having. So thank you for being patient. I think we can now. If it was on, we shouldn't go. If it wasn't, right? Yeah. Hello. Okay. That sounds like it's my fear. Yeah. Well, who cares? Okay, Christina, we're gonna try it one more time. I think we're good to go.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. Christina, I think we can get started with recording.
Yes, it's recording.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Most of us are in the building this afternoon, so we're just trying to work out some of our technical difficulties. Nice to see everyone. Thank you for your patience and joining today's board meeting, October 19th, 2023. This public meeting of the Hope Community Public Charter School Board is now called to order. We will now call the roll to determine if we have quorum. Anissa Bailey.
Here.
Allison Barr. Here. Eric Johnson. Here. Lorraine Lutovo. Sharifat Balagan.
Here.
Oh, hi, Sharifat.
Hi, I'm on my way.
Nice. And a quorum has been determined. We will now proceed with the business portion of the meeting. We have an agenda to review, and I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the agenda. Thank you. May I have someone to second the motion?
Second.
Allison. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
No, the agenda is approved. And board members, we also have the board minutes to review. Are there any corrections at this time? No? May I have a motion to approve the minutes from the October, no, it's September 21st board meeting. Ooh, thank you, Eric. May I have a motion to second? Second. Thank you, Allison. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? No? The minutes we approved will be online, and minutes from this meeting, today's meeting, will be approved in the November meeting, and the recording of this meeting will be available 24 to 48 hours. These actions are based on the Open Meetings Act. And today we will hear updates from Phalen and Hope on the progress of the school. And so we'll start with the financial report with Eva.
Super. Hello, everyone. Financials, we are reviewing financials year-to-date August, so that's still very light, but we forecast
Eva,
out.
can you hold on 1 second? We're trying to work on the volume.
Oh, sure. Can anybody hear me?
You might go up on the computer too. Yeah, this is all the way up. Just say, yeah.
Settings. Oh, this one. Eva?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Wonderful. And I will be brief since there's plenty of pieces to go through tonight. The financials, we are reviewing year-to-date August, so that's still very early in the year. However, we know the largest driver is, of course, enrollment, and so we can forecast out based on that. So this first page is what we always look at, the key metrics, which we'll go into a little bit on another page, and then the detailed forecast. So the key line items here, changes, actual budget, and then where we are in forecast so that we can compare actuals to budget, forecast to budget. That we also, please note, we review in detail at the Finance Committee meeting, so we will do the higher level pieces here. If we go down, Christina, just a few pages, there we go. Yes, just make mine also to match.
Keep going down. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we want to go to the key performance indicator page, I think up a few. Christina?
Let me just double check. Keep.
It should have days, cash, and gross margin. There you go. Okay. So really to just capture the pieces we looked at the top, days cash projected for the end of the year at 157. That is a solid days cash. Generally, a target is a minimum of 60 to 90 days. So we are in a good position on the cash basis. On the gross margin basis, 7.5%. Also, you see that we want to try and be in the green at all times. So there we are also projecting out that we will be at 7.5% solid on the gross margin. Go to the next page, Christina. There we go. And here we're just gonna, this really just provides a little bit of detail, kind of walks through the changes in the current forecast. So we pick up on the revenue side, which is great. And that is primarily because of the Washington Teachers Union, the additional funds that we had already accounted for. So we don't see the expenses increasing because we had already built in the required salaries into our budget and into actual. So there you see that we get the revenue that helps us for the expenses that we've already been incurring. That takes us down. There's just a small amount of change in expenses, some salaries, and a little bit of additional salary adjustments that were needed, but clearly only 114K out of the 817 pickup in revenues. That takes us to a net income 703, which is where we are projecting out based on the current known actuals. And then finally, the cash flow, we'll see a pickup on the cash flow side because of receivables at the end of last year that flow through this year. That is a timing issue. So a positive change in cash. And then this is really for reference. Also, we have the enrollment. So these are the pieces that drive the revenues and of course the expenses also, but first and foremost, the revenue. So this is the grade level enrollment as well as the other populations. We know that we do have some changes in the enrollment. So this details all of the pieces by grade level. And then finally, one last page, and this may have changed since this was submitted because we do submit a few weeks ago that there were no vacant positions. We had 2 unbudgeted positions, but we offset that by 3 that were not filled. So that keeps us to be sure that we stay aligned with the budget. And then finally, the last page is the cash forecast, just like we touched on there, just shows you how we anticipate it to flow through the year based on the timing of expenses and revenues. One more page, sorry. The per pupil funding, it kind of breaks down where the dollars are coming from so that we can see those also, how that impacts the revenues that we reviewed at the top. And I think, and then there's just a little bit more detail, line item basis on both the income and expenses. So let me stop there. Let's flip back to this one for any kind of questions.
You guys are on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry, Eva, you're finished?
Yes, yes, unless there are questions, that's all I have.
Oh, okay, just a quick question on the pupil page enrollment. Are we gonna get an updated breakdown of how many kids are in each grade level? This is just budget for this year.
Yep, I think I do see Tiffany. I think the enrollment team can give us additional details on that, but that sheet that breaks it down by grade level was where we were when the report was published, probably about 2 weeks ago. So it should be pretty close.
Okay, all right. Okay, and there was one other question. Thanks, Eva. I think Dr. Owens, he has those numbers, so he can share.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions for Eva about the budget? It's pretty straightforward at this point. And then what's next on the agenda? The, sorry,
Principal's report.
report, okay. So Dr. Owens, you can mention the numbers for the enrollment in this section here.
Yeah.
Mr. Owens, unmute his computer.
Or is he able to stay closer to the computer? It's hard to hear him.
We're gonna do some shuffling of chairs here.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, we have 227 scholars. Our average daily attendance is 205. Grade level. Grade level in pre-K 3, we have 16, with 9 scholars being EL. We have pre-K 4, 22 scholars with 13 of them being EL. In kindergarten, we have 27 scholars, 14 being EL. First grade, 18 scholars, 7 being EL. Second grade, 24 scholars with 8 being EL. Third grade, 17 scholars with 5 being EL. Fourth grade, 23 scholars with 14 being EL. Fifth grade, 19 scholars with 6 being EL. Sixth grade, 20 scholars with 6 being EL. Seventh grade, 26 scholars with 11 being EL. And eighth grade, 17 scholars with 7 being EL.
Pretty significant.
So 100 out of 100, 100 out of 227 scholars are EL in our school. About 48 point or 86% or something like that.
What's the increase from last year?
We quadrupled the increase. We had 31 scholars last year. Yeah, yes.
Was there a change in the strategy of our recruitment that may have contributed to the increase in EL students? What do we think is contributing to such a significant increase?
Well, we did go out and canvass and recruit scholars, and we had a very influx of kids that came from El Salvador and Venezuela.
So were those targeted marketing? And I guess I know we've spoken about this before in previous meetings in terms of our efforts to support them, but if we're going to recruit in certain communities, making sure that we can then support the students would be critical.
And yes, we are providing. So academically, we're supporting. We're using a sign-up model, which we're supporting our students academically for us, and our EL folks are in the classroom pushing in. We have all kinds of resources for our EL students. It's on our hub, so our scholars our teachers be able to work with the scholars. We also have devices that translate right in the classroom. And believe it or not, a lot of our teachers are learning to speak Spanish in the classroom. So we have the visuals there. They give the facilitated instruction in English as well as in Spanish.
Tiffany.
Yes, I was going to say I can add a bit more context to that. A large reason for the increase in EL students happened to be because of a community partnership with Mr. Barrington Tolliver. He was specifically reached out because there were a large number of migrant scholars that came in and they had to be placed. And so there was a community partnership with, and a large portion of these scholars are considered McKinney-Vento. Because of their, them being a part of, they don't have official housing, and they are being picked up and dropped off at two of our there are two local hotels where these scholars are living. So it wasn't that we necessarily went out into the community to particularly target these scholars. It was a community outreach effort.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead, Mr. Rowley.
Our staff recruitment, we have filled all of our positions. We just recently filled our math position. He's doing a wonderful job. The national team are here from Indiana, and they just singing his praises. And we also filled our EL position. So we are 100% staffed at this time. Why is this PLC in here? Some of the things that we're doing, doing PLCs. So we're providing PLC, professional learning community. So what we're doing, we're surveying our staff. We're doing walkthroughs within the classroom. We're gathering that analytical data and seeing what we need to really help our teachers enrich their craft, and we can serve our students better. So we set up our meeting dates, who's doing what, and who's working with what group. And these are the dates that we are, as far as the group of students that we're working with and teachers.
And how's that going? I mean, are the teachers receptive to this? Or?
It's very receptive. If the national team was here and they saw that there's a huge difference, and from this year, last year, all the teachers are really in the classroom doing a phenomenal job, and you can see it, and you can also feel the change in the atmosphere and the culture of the school, and the kids are also engaged as well.
Professional learning community, does each group have a theme or goal?
We have an agenda, and we address the things that we also ask the teachers the things that they need, or they may have a deficiency, or some things that we may see in our formal observations. And we sit down and we craft up a plan. Then we revisit that the following week.
Pre-K, K through 2, 3 through 5, middle school. It aligns with their schedule for this control. So they're all have planning at the same time to meet. And there's similarity across.
So in the PLCs, you're looking at instructional strategies, is that what I'm hearing? Or
Instructional strategies and best practices, data.
Collaborative for how to mitigate problems.
And our next next couple of slides, it talks about the different resources and the EL support that our EL teachers are doing. Some of the things that the model that we're using. We talk about the SIOP model and the instructional framework. It talks about the effective instructional strategies on the different 8 components that we use to help our teachers be successful, as well as our scholars be successful as well.
You said the primary is Spanish with the EL students for native language.
Yes, the native language is Spanish. Yes, ma'am. This slide just covered the framework, so you can go to the next couple slides down. And these are some of the things that, some of the pictures from some of our classrooms, from some of what our kids are doing in the classroom, in the hallways. One thing, we have extracurricular activities. So with cheerleading, we had Spirit Week which the kids really love. And we had different, it was thematic, something with every day was a different theme. Superheroes, the hair day, wacky hair day, different type of thing. So these are some pictures of where our kids participate, our teachers participate as well. They were so welcoming by our, not just by our kids, but our staff as well. Everybody's asking, when are we going to do it again? And these are some of the upcoming events. We have book fair. Tomorrow we have a big celebration, Hispanic Heritage Month. If any of you guys like to come in and join, we have all type of activities. And what our scholars are doing, our cheerleaders are participating. They were actually working hard today just rehearsing for that festival. We have the different type of foods that they'll be tasting, this type of activities, music, dancing, salsa dancing. So it's going to be a great fun. That is tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. These are some of the events, some of the things we have done.
So I know there's been a push to try to get a parent-teacher group going. How's it going? Are people attending or?
We're now in the process of electing homes. Yeah, so it's coming along, and we're talking about doing some fundraising activities so they can support some of the teachers in schools, such as things like if they may need some supplies or if for Teacher Appreciation Week, things of that nature.
The morning coffee, parents are coming in and
slowly but surely, it takes time, yeah. And a lot of times we have this conversation during the rivalry.
Want to make sure we are, engagement with the parents.
That is a huge push this year, looking at our surveys and data. So it is trying to get more parent involvement and over communicate.
Yes. No, when we did that survey last year, some of the points that were brought up, not enough communications for the Spanish-speaking families. I know we have more students in that category this year. I see a lot more in communication, mostly Instagram. It's by late.
Teachers are using communicating in the classroom with classroom dojo as well.
The parents have, if they were to come in, someone is usually pretty much someone available to kind of assist.
Yes.
I have a question about the position. We had a front desk position open. Are we filling that, or you're not doing that? In the office assistant role?
That position is going to be the regular collapse into one position. That's it. Any other questions? Yes, I'm gonna cut the chase, guy.
Ms. Hopkins, anything you want to add to the principal's report while we're here? Are we have you here? You want to come and see?
Yeah.
So much to add. Well, I mean, they're just, hello, everyone. Good evening. Talisha Hopkins, assistant principal. There are so many great things to add. So we have the as far as events, I'm going to talk about events. We have the Scholastic Book Fair coming up. Our theme for October and the Scholastic Book Fair has been fall in love with reading. So all over the building, you'll see that theme of fall in love with reading, and we're pushing it. We have Picture Day coming up in 2 weeks. What else? For Hispanic Heritage Month, we also had a poster decorating competition. The theme was Power, Progress, and Prosperity in the United States. That is the national theme, so the students were connecting to it. So they have to turn in their posters by tomorrow. We have gift cards and art supplies that are going to be given out as prizes, along with the closeout of that sort of festival tomorrow that we're going to have. We're moving into Bullying Awareness Month, and we are doing a jigsaw style school-wide project. Every single class is involved. So we took the concept of bullying, broke it down into sub ideas, and the classes each have a question or an idea that they have to probe, and they have to create. They've all been given a presentation board. So each class will answer that question, and all throughout the month, they're watching videos, they're talking, they're having discussions, and the students are going to put together their display board and a presentation. And so we're going to take those presentations and string them together until we have like one film that discusses bullying from all the aspects. Then we're going to take the boards and create a fair. So on Parent-Teacher Conference Day on the 27th, parents will be able to walk through and see what their kids did and see how they explored. So it's like the jigsaw method was one of Ms. Robinson's feature strategies for this month. And so thinking about it whole school, we want to put the ownership, we want to create every learning moment that's possible. And so a lot of times we get up in front of students and we're like, it's bullying awareness, and we're telling and telling and telling. But now they're going to tell it back to each other. They're all going to have a moment to sit and watch the film that's put together, that's all their pieces, and see all the boards. And then it's for them to have the takeaway and to instruct one another. So we gave the most challenging pieces to the upper grades, and the lower grades have the more simplistic aspects of it. But even as we go into classrooms, we can see that teachers are helping students do the brainstorming and coming up with that learning together. And that's sort of a model that we want to push to. Even with our poster contest, it's like, we can just tell you what it is, or we can give you an opportunity to explore and to learn even through these moments that sometimes can come across as just festive, but we want to push them even in this. And it also pushes our teachers because we're exemplifying what a model looks like to roll out a strong project in the classroom, how to hold kids accountable, how to buy them in, and how to be a facilitator. So we're trying to push that as much as possible. That's as far as events goes. Am I missing anything? Oh, parent-teacher conferences are on the 27th. Oh, I will add, on Parent-Teacher Conference Day, earlier in the morning, we are going to have from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. with Ms. Jones, myself sort of leading. We're going to have an ELL data segment with our newcomer families. We want to be able to roll out their WIDA data to let them know what is WIDA. We've assessed your students. These are their WIDA scores. We're going to give out progress reports as a preemptive tool before they go into the conference, so that we can explain, when you look at this PowerSchool printout, what am I seeing? And what does this mean? Because it may look different than documents that they've traditionally had. So we want to make sure that they've had that opportunity to discuss those aspects. So then when they look at it and they go in with the teacher, they can ask specific questions. We're also working on I forgot the name of the software or the organization, but we'll be able to have translation services where teachers will dial in and make a phone call, and a translator comes on and helps navigate that conversation live, so that all of our parents have access to inquire, probe, and get as much information about their students as possible. And our teachers are prepared, because we do have Google Translate, but it doesn't perfectly, it's not as conversationally appropriate. So with that aspect, Ms. Jones is looking to that for us, getting that line so teachers can make those calls. We're also having the first iteration of what we're calling Hope's Closet. And so that's where we're giving out coats, winter gear. Mr. Tolliver is leading that, giving out those materials. We're going to have parents send home a form. They will fill it out with their kids' sizes and needs. When they come, their items will be pre-packaged and put together, and we'll be able to give them their winter donation from Hope's Closet.
What day is that?
That is going to be on the 27th, starting at 11 a.m. So those families will come in before, they'll have their day-to-day, they will get their winter gear and materials as requested per their form, and we'll have it packaged and ready to go for them. And then once they move into parent-teacher conference, they would have already had some supports going into those conversations.
And the parent-teacher conferences are in person, all in person? Okay.
Yeah. We're pushing all in person. Now, teachers can make arrangements with parents who cannot attend, either on that day or another day, to have a virtual conference, but that day is primarily for in person.
Like the translation, I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, Yeah, because our teachers were definitely like, how do we navigate that part? So having that line where you can just call in and someone's there, and it just makes it more conversational and real. And what we're also considering is that there are different dialects. Not everyone is from the same place. They may have migrated together here. And I did want to say that point to when we asked the question about how we came to have so many students, what we also have to consider is like the family dynamic and the connection. Many of our students traveled, the families traveled together. And so now they have merged and formed communities. And so if I bring my child here and you're having a good experience, I'm going to tell the other people in my community who we may not be blood relatives, but we formed this. And we see that among our students, like they're not siblings, but they take care of each other because it was like we journeyed together. And so coming here is another leg of that journey, and they want that connection. And if they see a place where they feel comfortable and they feel safe with their students, the word of mouth factor just becomes like, oh, and then my sister, and then this other person, and they're constantly coming and bringing us those references because we've established a level of trust. And I think that is something we have done very well to let our families know, like, we're here for you. And hey, this is a curveball, but we serve the children that we serve. If you're enrolled here, we serve you, and we make the adjustments necessary to be the best service for you and to you that we can be.
We're able to provide any additional services to these families, like if they had a question about social services, health service, social service help or housing, like, are we able to at least point them in the right direction, or like?
We definitely are. Between Mr. Tolliver and our school social worker, they definitely have a lot of connections and understanding of how things work in DC. But we also sometimes on occasion connect with the social workers who are working and located at the hotel. So there are social workers there who on occasion we've had to connect with if there was a student issue or if there was a noticing. So there is sort of a web between the family, the school, and the social worker working to navigate. But I know personally in DC, the housing issue, even for DC residents, can be an issue. I've had students who lived in hotels for a long time before there was placement. So there's already a shortage of affordable housing in DC for native Washingtonians. So it does make a long process. Are there any other questions?
No. All right. Good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next up. Yeah. So Melissa is gonna give us an academic support update.
Absolutely. Before Christina moves to the next page up, I do want to say, if you have a chance to come during the day, I want to sing the praises to Mr. Moore, Mr. Bradford, Dr. Owens for having this vision for the STEAM program. I got to see kids today have their little robotic cars out in the hallway. One of them stopped working and they're like, what do we do? How do I fix it? And they're saying, work with your team. So you could see they problem solved, they built confidence, and they were excited. So if you haven't had a chance to come see the STEAM projects because every single student is, taking part in that program. So I'd say come in and take a chance and come in and see it in action and see the kids' faces. I think even more than the projects is seeing them interact with those projects. So chance, come in. Oh.
If I was to come to the building, you want me to let you know before I come? Are you comfortable with one of us just showing up? I'm very comfortable. I just want to establish that open.
Yeah, I show up unexpected.
Okay. All right, that's what, yeah, because that's not what I'm thinking. I know
some people
it
might
could be interpreted.
Yeah.
Right, so I just want. Right.
So next up, I just have some of the goals listed here. I did want to share underneath the smaller bullets are kind of some of the things that we're doing to make sure that we're achieving those goals. Our first goal is increase by 10 percentage points in ELA on the state accountability test. It was PARC last year. This year it will be called CAPE, which is it's PARC, but it's now called CAPE, which I see this happening across many states where they're kind of, calling it their own type of formative assessment. So underneath there, you can see our goal right now is 22.4. So it's a 10%. Last year it was a 12.4% passing. So we're really looking at that guaranteed and viable curriculum taught with fidelity. So we have HMH into reading and into literature for our middle school students. I would say Andrea and I, we've been around, we saw some really great things happening and really some great fidelity. And then we saw places we need to work, right? So I think we're definitely heading the right direction, but we still have work to do.
Are you measuring that too? Observations in the classroom?
Observations, and actually Dr. Owens and Talacia both also go into classrooms. And so I think I shared that last time when I pulled up the pie charts, and you can see how they're doing in each category. Oh, no, you're fine. No, you are fine. But yeah, so you could, but we actually have a tool. It's an analytic tool that lets us look into specific pieces. But yeah, so they should be in classrooms on a weekly basis doing those observations. But we're actually doing an instructional review right now. So it's a beginning of the year snapshot on multiple data points, but one of them is observations in every classroom. And then the last one, and Mr. Owens has been hitting this very hard with his staff, small group instruction. How are we looking at data? How are we analyzing it? And then how are we responding to it? We know small group, especially when we have that, maybe, we have 10.2% passing right now. So we do have kids that we need to keep growing, stretching on grade level, but that means 90% of our kids or 88% is below. So how are we reaching them? And that's really in small group instruction, meeting them at, meeting their needs, individualized or small group based on what the data is sharing with us. Very similar to our ELAs, our math goal of 14.4% passing. So we were 4.4% last year. We did have small increases last year on Park from the year before, but we need to see a much bigger increase. So same things, making sure that we're really teaching Eureka math with fidelity. We have quality responsive intervention through in-class and burst and level literacy, and also that we're really utilizing that small group instruction. For our enrollment, our budget enrollment is built on 231, so we are at 227, and that might be a little bit different. I think it's pretty close because we push these out a couple weeks in advance. But our stretch goal or our target really is 257. So if we can get there, that would give us some additional resources and things that we can utilize here at the school. We have our year-long enrollment and marketing plan, phone calls, canvassing, and we have been building on that Hispanic population. We put out radio. That was one of the things we talked about. There was some people that are amazing here on staff that have really even reached out to their personal communities. We've had some radio ads and different things of that nature. So I feel like we're really being responsive to those pieces. And then last, retaining 90% of our highly effective and effective teachers throughout the school year. Right now, we are at 100%. There has been some transition, but we make sure we look at those, why we have the coaching cycle, where are those teachers falling in those categories, and where are we at that time.
So before we go on,
Sure.
well, no, you can tell.
Okay, no problem. The next one up is NWEA. So as we're looking at that, I specifically pulled up because we're talking about those Park goals, grades 3 through 8. I also include first and second. But we look at the growth goal specifically, this is that projected growth met. So when we look at that at the 100 percentile, that means a child is growing a grade level's worth of growth, if that makes sense. If they extend the 100% mark, that means we're closing achievement gaps. So when we look at our math, in 6th and 8th, which I know we didn't have a teacher, but I will tell you, we had 2 phenomenal people. Mr. Owens and I, really talked about what do we do in this interim time. We had 2 people that really built up, and I'll shout them out, both Mr. Ernst and Mrs. Evans, who helped to support that. So we had 133% and 135% growth, and that's from fall to fall. So those are students that were with us last year as well. As we're looking at across the other areas, we've got some work to do. One thing that has been a little wonky, and just sharing, a lot of our students, our Hispanic students, are first year to the country. So they're not all assessed on certain things. Math, yes, but not necessarily in reading, because if they're brand new to the country, they're not required to be tested, and we haven't tested them in all things if they don't speak any of the language at all. So it just depends on WIDA, yes, that makes sense, but not necessarily with ELA, NWEA, or those pieces. And then for first and second grade growth, you can see there, we've still got some pieces and some work we need to do. And this is from, the beginning of the year. The last one, you want me to keep going? Last one's proficiency. I think we're almost there. Proficiency, so as we're looking at those goals of 22.4 and 14, right now we are above the grade level RIT, 25% ELA and 16% math. So you can kind of see how we've been performing historically. So it has the breakdown here. And then we also have our grade level proficiency broken out for us. So you can see how they're performing at each grade level in ELA and in math. And I believe that is the end of the report. What questions do you have?
So can we go back up to, so Park has become Cape. Are there any major differences between the two that we need to be prepared for, or?
No, I was gonna say no. It is basically, and I've seen this in other states too, and I think they were part of the Park Consortium. A lot of states develop, I think it really comes down to money. They want the money, because they're part of the Park Consortium, so they've developed their own, basically the same test often. That's exactly the same as the test before. What we got from OSSI basically says it's just a new name that still has all the same technology enhanced features. Standard. Right, it still has technology enhanced features. It still has, all the same components that Park has. It does, but we have seen it in other states as well. I know, it's crazy.
Is also doing any sort of rollout of what if there are any changes?
We just got, honestly, word of it just about 3 weeks ago. I was gonna say, it was not very long ago, just a few weeks ago. So we haven't heard a lot about it yet.
So one question is more specific. So,
Sure.
So I want to things, my mission was, do we know what areas of Brazilian challenges, is it math, converting percentages to decimals, like a national park? Like, do we know where the challenges are?
If you can run a report and it tells each individual scholar the
What
area.
the areas that do?
Yes, sir.
And so how are you systemically attacking those things? How are teachers, like, what's the strategy?
Right. Yeah.
And how are we measuring the effectiveness of the strategy? You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
Like, there's some activity
Sure.
happening every day. Right?
Yep.
And every
So
week and every month. So what I'm trying to get at,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to push
Sure.
it further than we need to because we're in a meeting, but I do want to understand how
Absolutely.
we monitor, how can Congress monitor
So,
what the strategy, because you could be doing a strategy for 6 months and it's not working. You're doing something that's not working.
right,
I want to know how you determine.
sure.
The data's coming in. We all assessing whether or not what's happening. And those are what, teacher driven?
And we also have, though, through our curriculum, our guaranteed and viable curriculum, we have common formative assessments. So example, Eureka has a topic quiz probably every 3 to 7 days. So we are checking those nonstop every 3 to 7 days. Now, the trick with any benchmark is a global measurement. And so we may not have actually taught what that global benchmark has assessed. So we even talked about what have we taught to date? The RIT score tells us this. Have we actually taught that standard yet? And if we haven't taught that standard yet, yeah, it may have pulled our data down, but we also know realistically we're not behind. We haven't taught that standard yet. If we have, then we have another issue. Like, we need to do reteach, we need to have small group, but we really should have known from the topic quizzes in the first place that this was already an area of deficit, because that's something that's happening frequently and nonstop. And it's common.
Well, how do we know the systems of teacher driven, which is stop message? How are you assuring that the teacher driven steps are aligned with the learning expectations of Park, K, whatever it is,
right,
whatever standard? Because I've been doing this for a long time, so we're here for a long time. And so I'm concerned, this is a common problem I see, that people put all this stuff in there, it's all this activity. Right? So I don't want to present myself like I don't believe that people is really good. call every day,
Sure,
because I know that that's true.
right.
But you get all this dust kicked up, so things are active. So there's a difference between being active and being productive.
Sure.
And I often don't hear the distinction in, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I hear you say that stuff, but I don't think it's connected to me. And I don't take
No.
it either.
Sure,
Because I can read Dr. Moore, I can.
sure.
Pop up is good, you know, I can pop up.
Right. Absolutely.
But I'm not, I almost never do.
So I think you have two things too, though, because one, you're talking about teacher driven. That would be more of
Absolutely.
exit tickets but what we're talking about is not, is a more standardized assessment. So in my opinion, that takes out the teacher. I'm not, I'm kind of making up my own assessment. It makes it more standardized. So when we look at those common form assessments, that's a better measure. But however, in the moment, if I'm teaching multiplication, I am at the end of that lesson going to have, there's a multiplication problem that we're working on and whatever, and it may be double digit. I want you to do that. And I'm going to collect the sticky note or I'm going to write down. And then you'll know, but it's not, but you say double digit. Maybe it's double digit by double digit, one teacher, but maybe another one only did it double digit by one digit. So that's where that piece, but to delineate, right. But really the CFAs we do on a 3 to 7 day basis is standardized. It's created, it's in a platform. We actually have data reports network wide. If we pull this data network wide on the same questions across our entire network. So it is standardized, like those pieces. Subjectivity. Yeah.
Now, I don't think teachers are activity as a negative.
No.
Because the teachers have a better.
But it's hard to compare growth. Show the growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So my question is, because we have this much larger EL school population, realistically, the growth in our testing, we're not gonna see much. Are we gonna see much of it? Like, what should we expect?
I think there's, right. I think there's two parts. It's hard for me to look at that BOY because I think the month and a half of school was trying to figure out what to do, if that makes sense. We have a large population. We've had lots of PD. We flew out Jeremy Borland from our EL team that taught the SIOP model, walked every room, made recommendations. They've had gallery walks and things within the school to talk about best practice. So if I'm being truly honest, I hate that that's the BOY data, but I also think with this much of an increase that I'm not surprised. But I also think when you think about any first year is not going to be assessed, if that makes sense, not on ELA, but they will on math. I mean, but we also have some challenges. We know that we talked about a lot of our kids haven't had a traditional, they've had interrupted education all their life. So where I don't, if they're new to the country, I think that we just have to hold that data close to us and make sure we can analyze it and explain it. But
the first year they should
not for ELA.
They shouldn't appear in the data.
Not for, they will for math. They will for math. They do for math, yeah, but not ELA. Yeah. So this is why too, we have that safe space with our CFAs. It's a good place to practice and get ready because even if they can't test this year in ELA, they will next year. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna, so as we talk about these pieces now, for some of our kids, we didn't test because they're just arrived in the country and we're not going to put a test in front of them. And yeah, so.
That's demoralizing.
Yeah, there's no reason.
I don't know if it's a question or a comment, but it's sort of picking up on that point. So it's not my area of expertise, but I work in the education space, so I know that there's a big national conversation about the science of reading and some questions about the effectiveness of level of reading. And I know I saw level of literacy here, and I know
for our middle school.
So I just, again, I don't know what my question is, but I think particularly with the influx with the massive increase that we're seeing in our EL students, making sure that we are really looking at the material we are using and science-based, research-based, because, I think how kids learn, how they learn the language, how they learn to read is going to be critical as we think about these students. So I think, again, I don't know all of the science behind it, but I do know there is a lot of questions about whether maybe the material we are using is actually.
So the LLI is for the middle school area. We are using Verse, M-Class, Dibbles, and then it has lessons that are created for our K through 5. But what I will tell you is this isn't our only EL school. We have another school that is 60% Burmese. I will tell you that the leveled readers, because it's not that they don't have, they can even fluently read. So it's not about phonics. It's not about phoneme. They can fluently read, but they can't comprehend because they're in another language. So those leveled readers have really, I feel like, has grown that community because they can actually, but it's a different strategy. It's a different deficit. The deficit isn't actually knowledge. The deficit is applying a whole new language to what you already know how to do. So I will say that. And I mean, I would encourage if we feel like students are phonetically and all of those things doing the right thing, I would encourage them to put level readers in their hands so that they truly can have access to books, because it's more about pictures, vocabulary, acting out what we see. I mean, there's so many components, but I know what you're saying and I don't disagree. I mean, I understand, but that is one factor of what we provide. But for K through 5, it is very heavily, it's in class and it's, dibbles, that's our assessment tool and we're providing those lessons. Yeah.
I can speak, but I didn't understand everything, seeing concept.
Right.
What I'm saying.
Right. Absolutely. And putting a book in front of you with pictures and things like that, if you're reading those things aloud, it helps you understand. Yeah, absolutely.
Even for kids to speak English.
Yeah, absolutely. And I forgot, I have one more thing in there. I apologize. Instructional review, we started it today, or yesterday, and we are actually wrapping it up soon. For this piece, we have a Your Voice Matters survey. We come in, we observe all of the teaching staff. The Your Voice Matters survey is an anonymous survey, goes to every single staff member, has lots of different types of questions to see how things are going. We do a leadership self-assessment. So the leadership team, they all sit down together and they assess themselves and kind of gauge where they are. And then we do a leadership interview. They identify 5 focus areas now, and then we'll revisit and come back and do this again. And what is that, the spring? And we'll see kind of how have we grown and what have we done. So that's kind of the instructional review process. And we're in the process of that. There's 30, oh, can you go up a little bit, Christina? Just to the next slide, sorry. So we have, and this is all also lies within our coaching cycle. So we talk about this. So, there's no magic. I mean, Mr. Owens, Talacia, they all have access to the results, to the documents we use, everything. So as we go through and debrief, there's no hidden anything. They know exactly what we've collected so that they can use it for themselves too, as we develop plans to be able to respond to what we found. And that is the end for real this time.
Well, I wanted to go back to thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I want to go back to the slide that discussed percentage of students above grade level.
The 25 and 16.
Yeah, so are we saying that the fluctuation is due to a change in the demographics? Is that what we're ultimately saying?
It's the one with the line bar graph or the line chart, please. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, so I can see it. So I do think but it is interesting because we actually from spring, we actually went up in ELA, but again, you have to remember in ELA, we didn't test first year Spanish speaking student. We didn't test any students. So I'm not surprised we went up in ELA because we took out 40% of our kids and didn't test them because they don't, but we dropped in math because all students, whether you're here first year or not, have to be tested. Does that make sense?
This is all grades.
This is all grades. Yep.
I think we went from 32%, right, to fall 2021, 2022.
Oh, you mean the year of the pandemic? Yes. So I will tell you that's the first year back, and that very first, very high one was actually not done here at the school. We were virtual, and so I don't know how valid that data actually is. Yeah.
Oh, so there's a possibility that this is not an accurate reflection of
The 21, 22, that's when we very first came on, and we were just coming back the whole year before they'd been and then for us to come back and those first weeks, I don't know if you remember, but they actually did that assessment at home, and like their parents are right there. So that first data point, I don't think it's great. Yeah, well, and it was at home. I mean, a whole different testing environment at their home with a one-to-one device. For NWEA. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we were right. When I look at this chart, I just see a decline.
Right.
And then for the most recent times, it's just been pretty steady. But from 20
2021, there is a drop. I just wanted to understand the
Sure.
reason.
Absolutely. Okay. That makes sense.
Any other questions from? Any other questions from the academic side of the house? Anissa, anything to add?
Not at the moment.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, next up is operations updates. Mr. Glory.
Become hot.
We can be here more often.
Getting a little light right there already.
Good evening, everyone. So, I have updates on the marquee snow removal vendor update and the lawn and landscaping vendor update. For the marquee update, we completed an RFP to replace the marquee, but we have not received any proposals. We have reached out to Fast Signs to get a quote, and they provided one to repair the current sign. The total cost of the quote was $6,771.05. We're going to continue to work on comparison quotes for the repairs and to get additional quotes for a digital sign. The digital marquees are around like $30,000. Based on the cost of the repairs versus the updated digital replacement, I would like to know which option would you prefer us to pursue, or do you want the cost for both? So we just had the one to replace it because a vendor has not yet given us the digital. I did send a follow-up email to the point of contact from Fast Signs, which is local, and they are working on getting us a quote for the digital. If they replace the current sign that we have that's not digital, it will be like a two-part replacement, and we will have to have someone manually go up to put up the letters, which would be a lot of work. So yes, we want to keep outsourcing to try to get quotes for the digital signs.
Yeah, that's what
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think about bad weather and
Yes.
it's about to get a full one.
Yes. Yeah.
Make sure we have insurance.
Yes.
No, don't do it at all.
Yes.
And you said the digital one it comes in at about 30,000?
Yes, and because the marquee that we have is up high, so we don't have anywhere to place it in the ground, but we have to get one that we can mount to the building.
Let's see if there's anyone else that can support us on that one. I mean, it would be nice to be able to put notices out there digitally for parents to see today, both in English and Spanish, rather than having someone, get a fair big funny sign, Yeah. We'll see. Let's just look around a little bit more. Yes.
Next, we have the snow removal vendor update. Once again, we completed the RFP for the snow removal services for school year 23-24, but have not received any proposals. We did speak with Phalen, and they have agreed to provide us with these services to the school. The cost from Phalen was for pre-treatment with the spread of ice melt on the parking lot and the long front insert of the school. The cost for this service would be $860, including the ice melt. They're going to charge per push cost. The services are from 0 inches to 3.9 inches, $1,128. The service for 4 inches to 7.9 would be $1,488. And the service for 8 inches to 12 will be $1,848. So again, I would like to reach out to more vendors to get a quote to do the comparison.
snow removal, I mean, we haven't had much snow in the last couple of years. No, allergy season is really bad now, so we might get something. But a lot of those people got out of the business. They don't because we haven't had bad weather, so hopefully if it happens, it's not me. Bring it in.
Was it safe by when you'd like to just have a?
So I'm going to put out another RFP and start the process all over again. Hopefully now that the school year has started, maybe there are some companies that want to contract with the schools and to see what we get from that.
Let us know, keep us updated on that.
Yeah, so you think Aussie would try to pull resources and get a contract?
Yeah, I think they use their like in-house maintenance people to.
But for the school system though, it would be nice to do
Yeah.
a contract, like have the school maybe subcontract with them or something like that. Just
A little more attractive.
yeah, you know, yeah, a more attractive package for smaller schools, right? And most of the urban schools, neighborhood schools, they don't have driveways and, you know, there's sidewalks that need clearing and stuff like that, entrances mainly, you know? Okay, well, just keep us updated on that one too.
Will do. Last is the lawn and landscaping vendor update. We did complete a RFP for the lawn and landscaping. No responses. Belene did agree again to do these services. The cost is $797 per month throughout the season, which includes the cleaning of the weeds between the playground and the parking lot. And they will clean the weeds in the concrete base plant that's installed in the parking lot and around the fence gates and also on the tree spaces that are in front of the school. Trimming edges and blowing the parking lots. Add the mulch as needed in the areas where the wood plant spaces are installed in front of the school. Grass cutting back area just along the building line back there. So we have property behind the school. Now that the trees have been cut down, we need to keep up the maintenance back there. But it does not include all the fence extensions in the back.
When I came up here in the summer, you're talking about the thing here, right?
Yes.
And we were supposed to move some debris and did we take care of that? Yeah.
We are facing a small issue. I have contacted the Department of Energy and Environment. We have been having encampments from, people sleeping back there. They had the tents back there. Yes, and so we have to report it because the railroad track. And so something happened, it won't be a liability on us. So I keep an open communication via email with the point of contact so that we have paper trail.
Yeah, that's also not safe.
Well, I think the issue, because there's a pathway that leads to like the subway station. So people just walk through and they just hang out or they walk their pets back there. So it's like now that it's clean, they really just taking advantage of the area. Trash dumping.
We're allowed to put a fence down?
We are allowed to put a fence, but we have to submit a permit in order to get, well, even before we start digging to the government. Yes.
The kids don't go back there at all.
No.
So. Yes. Don't want anyone coming over here.
It's something to think about. It's worth it might be.
Let us know, because yeah, right, it might be worth.
Yeah.
Look into it and see what the process is, just so that if we have to make a decision, we know what permits we need to pull, that kind of stuff, or maybe there's a vendor that we can call, and even if you just get a quote, it's kids, you know.
We're talking with the point of contact that I have with the OEE. So they're going to see if they can actually fence off like the beginning part because it leads to the railroad track. So whenever they need to have access to get back there. So if they just do the first part, the first half, and then we'll just piggyback off of that and just extend hours further down. Yes, so they're trying to see if they can actually find a company, maybe get a contract through DC government to at least do that portion of it. And then we just piggyback off of what they install and just add the remaining part to cover the school perimeter. Yes. Yes.
Well,
Parking space for the bus, or we can extend it and have like another play area once we get the fence installed that will lead from this park, and it just go back where they don't have to walk around the building. Yes.
well, stay on top of them and see that it's something that they could really do. I mean, to change the footprint of the school, outdoor space if needed. You know, yeah. I mean, the flowers up front look nice. You know, outside looks nice. So what's the quote for the lawn and landscaping?
The cost per month is $797 throughout the season.
Is there a budget? Do you have budget for that stuff?
We do, yes.
I can take a vote on that one today. Sorry, I didn't.
I read it going.
Yeah, that wasn't in there. Can you tell me how much it is?
Sure.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to vote for the lawn and landscaping vendor for the school year. Our cost is $797 per month. It's with Phalen Cleaning Services. Contract will go to them. I need someone to make a motion to approve. Second. Communicate Sharifa and Eric.
Second the motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? No. Lawn and landscaping vendor services been approved. We need to keep the building, the grounds looking, they have to be inviting and clean. And that stuff is important for parents when they're dropping off their kids, so.
I have a question too.
Sure.
When you guys walked up, have you noticed anything outside the building when you first pulled up?
Flowers.
We have a light box now.
Oh, the sun was still up, so we're looking on. Somewhere else. Any other comments, update, anything else on operations, fire services, elevator? Was that ever fixed, taken care of?
I have a great update you guys will want to hear. Phalen will be out on site this coming Monday at 6:30 a.m. to start the repairs on the HVAC.
Oh,
yes.
That's exciting.
Elevators operating properly. I'm sorry, the elevator is operating properly.
Inspected,
we are up to date with our inspections. We are waiting for the fire inspectors to come back out again, but all of our fire extinguishers have been updated. They are properly tagged, and we are in compliance.
And what about our entrances and exits? Locks,
the locks are fixed. We do have all of our keys. Department of Energy and Environment did come out to clean out the garden area to dig for the pipes, but the pipes are not within the garden area. So we have to continue to work on that to get that resolved, because we're not sure where the outflow is going. So that's going to be another project that we want to have to continue to work through until we get that resolved. Because they believe this drain into the sewer, but we have to get DC government to come out to clean out the sewer.
We have water, is That's the water issue.
Yes, but the pipes on the side of the building has been fixed, so it's draining properly there.
The last time we were here, we mentioned, our neighbors having issues with trash and not being nice.
The trash has calmed down, but I think now what they're doing is like after 5 p.m. now they're coming later, and they still have a lot of traffic. So not as early as they were before, but I believe they try to give us time to leave for the day before their crowd comes in.
Yeah, so in the party, they sent a letter. They did. And you did get a response.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay. Anything else operations wise?
That will be all.
All right, so next time you'll come back with an update on the snow removal.
And the marquee.
And a marquee.
And the marquee.
Yes.
All
Okay.
right.
All right, thank you.
Any committee updates? Maybe the academic updates. We had talked at our board retreats. It's not on the agenda, Christina. We needed to add a board secretary. We were supposed to do it last month, and we didn't. Sharifa, are you still open to that? Yeah, sure.
Else being nominated, right?
You agreed to it when we did our board retreat. Yeah.
Okay.
We just need to make it official. I didn't get a chance. Okay, the other board update is Neha Patel. Her name isn't on the agenda. Neha resigned in the end of the school year. She relocated to London over the summer for her job, so that's why she's no longer with us. So we wished her well. Had a nice conversation with her. So Sharika. So I'd like to make a motion to add.
Tell Sharifa she cannot back out now.
Yeah, there's no backing out now to make sure he's valid on our board secretary. Let's do all what's a motion?
Motion and then a second.
And a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Eric. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays or abstentions? No. No. Sharifa, thank you very much. Being our board secretary, congrats. All right. Are there any new business? Wait a minute. I'm ready. There were some action items from our last meeting. One of them was maybe I'm not sure if Tiffany is the right person for this, or if Miss Minter is on the call. We asked her for a comb through of our website. There was some language on our website that we're still talking about expeditionary learning. If we could get that updated.
Yes, ma'am. I'm on the call, Miss Smith.
Miss Ashley. Hi, Miss Ashley.
Hi, how are you? Yes, ma'am. We've taken care of that. We've updated the website.
Okay, and the mission of the school, I couldn't find it easily on the website either. So maybe that's something that you could look into as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then our ongoing marketing materials will not have expeditionary learning. They have focus will be on STEAM. I think our big flyer still has that language in there as well.
You said it. What is it again, Miss Smith? I missed that.
I don't know, what do you call
Is it a retractable banner?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, it may be one that was ordered prior to that change, but we'll make sure that we get a new one out to the school to have that updated language. And and also your materials have been updated as well.
Yeah, and then some there's a website page. There's a page that pops up occasionally. It still has that information. So just that.
And then the other action item was, it was for marketing also. Sharifa had requested to know the number of parents who had completed our survey. And then there was also our survey with parents, that number, we're supposed to get like information on by 9:25. I don't know if it was sent out. Miss Walt, Miss Tiffany, that was you.
Yes.
And then,
Are you referring to the summer advantage?
Yes.
Because that was the only thing that I was,
Yes.
that I was doing.
Yes.
And it was, I have that information. I can send that out to you.
Do you need to send it, Carrie?
Yeah, just email it to maybe you can, they sent it? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yes, I thought we sent that information, but
Okay.
if I need to send something back.
I'll resend it just to refresh everyone's memory.
Okay.
Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, Carrie.
Okay, all right. And some of the suggestions that were made, I think I saw some of it I only follow the Instagram page, so I saw some new things on there as well, like incorporating parents, and there was Miss Delisha on the page doing some other things, so yes, so.
Yes, ma'am, and we're also coordinating.
So, thank you.
Yes, ma'am, you're so welcome. We're also coordinating a photography and videography project as well with Ms. Hopkins and Principal Owens.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Looking forward to seeing that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so iReady Curriculum Associates. Who's doing that one? Oh, you're doing, oh, okay.
All right, so this already went through the finance committee, but this is actually, so if you're familiar with iReady, we had a couple of purposes for wanting to order this specific curriculum. It also has an assessment tool. This was something we actually purchased for our special ed students, but we also have another grant that we just, the Growing Stronger grant, as well as our SPED grant, because Mr. Owens was really looking at MTSS. So how are we tracking like another layer of data analysis if we're providing some different things there of how to, an MTSS, multi-tiered systems of support, and that's looking at students that are below. So if there's something else we need in addition to, so kind of back to some standardized tools and so forth for students that are moving through a process to try to move them to grade level. So it's curriculum and also an assessment tool that goes along with it. But it's here and it's for your approval for $18,310. Any questions?
Melissa said it was, sorry, as Melissa said, this was discussed at the finance committee last week or 2 weeks ago. I can't remember. The days run together. Yeah, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the iReady curriculum. That's $18,310. May I have someone to make a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Eric. May I have someone to second the motion? Thank you, Allison. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays or abstentions? No. The iReady curriculum is approved. So now we will move to the open public comment section. Please submit comments to the agenda items, no more than 3 minutes. Does anyone have a comment to make or observation to share?
So do the parents know what we need? Can we send out information to the parents? So they know that we.
It's on our website, updated. I'm not sure if we send out something extra. Are you doing anything with through the parent committee? Like an extra?
No, not here. Still have to hear from them. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the reasonable.
We can control that. Christina, Mr. Tolliver said that he will incorporate that into the parent-teacher meetings that he's having, sharing board meeting dates, so we can hopefully get some additional parent participation or attendance if we meet in person.
Thank you. I will. do that.
Okay, great. Any other comments? Anything to share? Challenges? How's the STEAM going?
It's exceptional. Doing exactly what we meant to be. In reference to the STEAM program, it's doing exactly what we brought it here to do. Give students my name is Donald Moore, Department Chair of Science and Middle School teacher. It's actually giving the students a hands-on opportunity in the field of electronics and the details about the technical side of the world, and it actually extends from my classroom from the literal side of science. Well, I'm teaching technique and concept. They're actually using those concepts in the STEAM class. And it's working out really good. Kids are really excited about it. They actually get involved in it. They don't know how much they're really learning by playing with those items. Yes, it's a trick. And in my class, I'm teaching the energy in and out and transformation part. And they don't know that that is tied to the very same thing. In order for those projects to work, energy has to come in, energy has to be transferred, energy has to go out. And what they're going to be doing, measuring it in our classes. So it's working out pretty good. Yes, it's exactly what we meant for it to do.
So with the STEAM project though, is it incorporated in other parts like I was just out in California doing some evaluation STEAM, and the places that do it the best are the places where it's involved every part of student learning. Not when it's relegated to science and math. When we're thinking about reading through the STEAM approach, right? How is that something we're doing? Is something you think about? Is that something we get better at? What's your sense?
Well, this is something we could get better at, because what we're trying to do is incorporate the entire experience from the literacy part, the mathematical part, the science part, each one of them. Right now it's in its infancy, and that's a great idea. That's what we plan to do, extend so that they're not just getting one facet of the whole idea, even though it's being mentioned and taught, but on a small scale.
Right. I was in a classroom and I saw kids like they get really rudimentary, like they got blocks, but they build it in. So they're doing the phonemic parts, they're in reading, but the building, make sure the blocks are doing what they need to do to stand up. That's part of the engineering part of STEAM. And that's what, and so those kids are taking those skills and transferring them they're transferring their engineering skills to reading, and that's a novel idea. I don't think a lot of places approach it. Well, we see science is one thing, math is another thing. You know, reading is another thing. When it's done well, it's all those things are playing, are integrated. That's right.
It's all integrated, and it is integrated anyway, but we're actually growing it to that level.
Yeah,
it's the next step, the next scale up to, since we just started it.
And get it down, because you mentioned when we talk about this stuff, we talk about getting down to kindergarten. Pre-K. Yeah, pre-K, yeah. Little kids, like pre-K kids, yeah. I'm gonna come check it out. Let me know when that's happening.
I think when we talked last year about making STEAM official, we talked about our curriculum pieces. I mean, that was from pre-K level all the way up to the 8th grade. So.
And that's a selling point. Like that's connected to enrollment. People hear that stuff they want to get their kids involved.
Right, and Ashley, and Tiffany, if you're still on the call, so just be aware of that as we go into the next cycle. Even though we're in our infancy stages, it's still a way to highlight as we think about marketing for the next school year, you know, STEAM activities from pre-K through 8. So.
Absolutely, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions? Anyone on the call? Okay, no one else? Thank you, Mr. Moore. All right.
Uh, so we,
You always at an airport.
okay, so no closed session tonight. So I want to thank everyone for being here. We will make a motion to close out the board meeting today, October 19th. May I have someone to make a motion?
Move to close.
Move to close. May I have a second?
Whatever you go.
Any abstentions? No. No. Great. Our meeting is adjourned, everyone. Thank you very much.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, thank you.
In the past, so